In today's lecture, we are going to study the story Roots by Ismat CHUGHTAI. It is the story we tell the story of partition between the two nations, India and Pakistan. We also come to know about the novel Azad written by Chaman Nahal. That at the time of declaration of partition, there are so many atrocities in Pakistan. The Hindus were burnt alive. Lala Kashiram had to leave his own motherland. His daughter was burnt alive. Arun suffered in love, and women were butchered and raped at Norwala. In the same manner, we come to know in the novel Train to Pakistan, written by Khushwant Singh. This novel also describes the impact of partition and there were so many atrocities in India and on the other part of the India. This story was written by Ismat CHUGHTAI, and she describes the impact of partition. Here, the image of the writer. She was born on 21st August 1915. She passed away on 24th October 1991. Her famous stories are Roots, Lihaf, and Farsadi. She is an Urdu novelist, short story writer. She wrote extensively on themes including female sexuality and femininity, middle class gentility, and class conflict from Marxist perspective. Here is the biography of the writer. She started her career as a writer at the age of 11 or 12, but did not publish them under her own name. In 1939, her first story, Fasadi, was published in the disquieted journal Saki. People thought it was her brother or well-known writer Azim Beg CHUGHTAI had written the story under a pseudonym. Later in the same year, her stories like Kafir, Deet, Kimatkar, and Bachpan stirred the literary circles, and she became known as an eminent author. In 1941 and 1942, her two collections of her short stories came titled Kalyana and Chuntilal N. But her most talk about work came in 1941, that was Lihaf. It explored the intimate relationship between two women, caused havoc in preserve of Urdu literature. Ismat was tried for obscenity, and so the story became the focal point of her life's work, so much so that it overshadowed all her remaining work like Jado, Janeda, Nahani Ki Nani, Phool Bulyana, which were equally well written. She is considered by many to be the fourth pillar of the modern Urdu fiction, along with Saadat Hasan Manto, Radhir Singh Bedi, and Krishna Chandra. In terms of notoriety and fame, controversy and popularity, she is ahead of any Urdu novelist. Her personality and writings were complementary to each other and consist of rebellion, compassion, innocence, and sincerity. She made a name for herself in the world of Urdu fiction novel writing due to her startling themes and realistic style of writing. The microscopic incidents of human life are the subject of her works, but she presents these events with dexterity and artistry that a complete and vivid picture of daily life comes to the fore. Through her characters, she tries to expel the evils of society and make them a symbol of beauty, happiness, and peace. She was associated with the progressive movement of Urdu. Unlike other communist writers of her time, she made internal, social, emotional exploitation the subject of her stories instead of external and social exploitation. In her writings, she tries to both understand and make her readers understand the issue of carnal desire with respect to human psychology. She has also raised the issue of equality between men and women, which goes beyond domestic equality. Her stories have an air of middle income Muslim household where every day women can be felt by the reader. She emphasizes on the point this everyday woman too is a human is not merely an object of copulation. Her attitude towards the idea of love was quite unconventional. When she was proposed by her friend, she said, I quote, I consider love to be a very important thing. It is the very strength of the heart and mind, but a person should not become a sting in it. One should not become suicidal for its sake. There's an innate bond between love and sex. Gone are the days when love used to be a boy's thing. She has her own physical and emotional needs, which needs to be understood and fulfilled. Her rebellious and fiery tone often leaves our established social conduct high and dry. That is why when Sahid proposed her for marriage, Ismat, owing to her thoughts, replied, I quote, I'm not an ordinary girl. All my life I've cut the chains that I fettered me. I will not be able to take up another shackle. Obedience, chastity, other virtues expected of a man do not suit me. Let you repent in the end. Unquote. But Sahid did not heed to her admonition. About her relationship with Sahid, she later reflected, I quote, a man can offer love, respect, even prostrations to a woman, but he cannot give her an equal status. Sahib gave me an equal status, unquote. In return for her literary services, she received many important awards and prizes for government and non-government organizations. In 1975, she was awarded Padma Shri by the Government of India. In 1990, the Madhya Pradesh government awarded her the Iqbal Samman, the Kalib Award, and the Filmfare Award. After illuminating the realm of literature for half a century, she felt the world on October 24, 1991, and according to her will, her body was cremated at Chandawadi Electric Cremation. Now the story begins. Jade in Hindi. Roots, a short story written by Ismat, is a fictional take on the impact of the partition on impersonal relationship, memory, as well as the idea of home and community. On the declaration of the division of India into two countries, both Hindus and Muslims started celebrate partition in their own fashion. Hindus started to say Hindustan Jindabad, and Pakistan started to say that Pakistan Jindabad. This poisonous news started to claim that Hindus have slaughtered Muslims in large number. The distrust between the two countries was increased, and the roots were uprooted by distrust and confusion. Even children were not allowed to go out as there was fear of murder. Roopchand, a Hindu family doctor, was put under suspicion, who was always a regular visitor of the Muslim family that was living in his neighbor. He was as a close well-wisher of the family. The narrative, which is seen from the perspective of an aged woman Amma, is an insight into how women experience the partition. The story is set in Marwar, just before the declaration of independence of India, Pakistan, where migrants were already began taking place. However, despite constant persuasion by her family members, Amma refuses to pack her belongings and sought off for another land. When the entire family decided to migrate, no amount of force or persuasion could make the Amma of Jada roots leave her Haveli. I quote, efforts, every effort was made, but Amma did not budge from her place. She was like the roots of a giant oak that remains standing in the force of a fiery storm, unquote. But then after everyone had left, the giant oak swayed in distress, thinking of near ones who were in exile, perhaps in a state of distress. She started to think, I quote, Time passed on, but Amma stayed steadfast in her position like a banyan tree that stands upright through storms and blizzards. Unquote. The writer tells a story about an old woman who is unable to understand the intricacies of the partition. She does not want to leave her house for newly formed Pakistan. She loves her roots and does not want to get cut off from her motherland, from her roots in Indian life and soil. She is not ready to leave her land, country, her neighbor, and likens this leaving to death. She said, I quote, "You all go. As for me, where I'll go at this age," Amma tells Sardar Ali, the leader of the National Guards. Finally, Amma's son, daughter, son-in-laws, daughter-in-laws, other relatives start to leave the house for newly formed Pakistan. Amma's heart flutters and tears came in her eyes and she thinks and said, I quote, "Who knows whether the new soil will be conducive to these saplings or make them wither these poor saplings," unquote. That was the fear in the mind of Amma, whether when they would reach to Pakistan, the new land, whether that land would be suitable to them or not. She was in fear. Evoking her emotional connection to where she was born, she is convinced that she should not live with her family members. She recalls the things about the past. She raised the question, which is the motherland? She recalled that this is the room where her bridal veil was lifted. This is the room where she gave birth to her children. She questions the existence of new home and new country that was in the mind of Amma. However, the readers gain an insight into the brutality of the experience as she experiences the pain and anguish of separation from her family members. At this point, her neighbors, Rupchand and his wife, are a source of solace, peace, and comfort for her. Rupchand was looking from the empty space of the door as the family was excited to leave for a new home, Pakistan. He also saw the position of Amma in what manner she was staying like a banyan tree. His heart was in great distress and anguish. He wanted to help them. Even Amma could not sleep the whole night, thinking whether his sons and daughters and other relatives will be able to survive or get killed in the way. Rupchand, who is unable to take the stomach this entire episode, decide to go to the station and bring Amma's family back to their home. And after some time, her Indian neighbor Rupchand brings back her children from Loni railway station, and Amma heaves a sigh of relief. There was a great moment in the house of Amma. Rupchand entered the house, put his hand on the hand of Amma. The belief of the two families of years was restored. Restored. Amma felt the presence of the familiar hand. That was the hand of Rupchand. Rupchand also felt the tears on his hand that was coming from the eyes of Amma. We can say this story is an artful depiction of the resilience of love and mutual respect among persons who survived a partition that sought to create differences and divides. Thus, a happy family is saved from the devastating partition which destroyed lakhs of lives, dividing thousands of families. The story also depicts love between Hindus and Muslims not ready for partition. Thanks.